You're probably wondering what we're probably going to be doing with this big bird. We are going to boil it for tonight's recipe, chicken and dumplings. One of our final episodes of cheap foods that'll go a long way, especially here. This chicken probably only costs about $5, maybe $6 on average at your local grocery stores, so look for the best deals, especially when you get a whole chicken like this one. And sometimes you can use parts of chicken like breasts or thighs, but I like using the whole chicken mainly because you get the mixture of light and dark meats at the same time. What we want to do is first remove all the giblets and the neck bone right from the chicken's cavity, and then drop it right into your stock pot there and let it boil. And then while we're boiling, I'm going to show you the other ingredients that we're going to be using for chicken and dumplings. We're going to be using about a cup of flour. That's not very expensive at all. A whole bag of it will cost, what, $1.49 in the stores? Cream of chicken soup, which probably cost 89 cents. We'll be using 2 cans. And 1 entire container of chicken broth. Again, $1.49, can't go wrong. And I'm going premium here, but you can also look for generic versions of this. It has to be the flaky layers biscuits. And I happen to have the Pillsbury kind because, let's face it, Pillsbury, you can't beat it. But if you're looking to stretch your budget out, then you can probably find a cheaper generic version of this. So these are all the ingredients necessary to make chicken and dumplings. And I'm going to show you how to do it step by step, so watch carefully as we take you into the kitchen of SonicBlu. And this is our new kitchen, as you can see. It's a little more constricted, a little bit tighter in quarters, but it still functions as a kitchen, and we have a gas stove. So what do you say we start cooking? And what we're going to do while that is boiling, we are going to open. Now watch out for it because you get a big loud pop after this.
Yep.
Okay, ready?
Go for it.
There it is. There's the pop.
It's like plop.
You never know when it's going to happen. It always startles me every time, but that pop, there's our biscuits. And we're just going to take all those biscuits out onto a plate. And we will prepare these biscuits. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that after I extract all the biscuits from the container. And get out of the container. There we go. Okay. Now the layered biscuits come in, of course, layers. They come in about 2 or 3 layers, about 3 layers. And you can easily pull these off and separate them. And we're going to be needing to separate these from their layers. Now you can do them in 2 different layers, or if they're in 3 different layers, then pull the 3rd layer off, but really, the thicker the better. So why don't we go ahead and just leave it at 2. I'm pretty sure these have just 2 layers, but you can also find the ones that have 3 layers, if you're lucky enough to find them, that is. And you just move your thumb along like this until you see them separate on the side. There you go. There's the separation. And then just help it the rest of the way like this. And there you go. There's the 1 layer. Here's the other layer, and if you can probably find the 3rd layer in there somewhere. But it's usually very thin anyway, so if you can find that extra layer, then go for it. But if you can't, don't worry about it. So we are going to separate these, into these 2 layers, and that'll be good enough. And then what we're going to do after that is we're going to flatten the layers, so that way they're nice and flat. We're going to cover them with flour so that they're not sticky, and then we're going to separate them into 3s. I'll show you how to do that too, after we separate all of our biscuit layers. And you're really only looking for the 2 because they're going to be flattened anyway. This will give you twice as many more biscuits to work with than you had before. Be very careful to set them down on the plate because you don't want them all to stick together by stacking them back up again, because you're going to have to do this all over again. So there we go. Another separation. There's 2 more to go. Stick those on the plate. And there we go. Okay, now you might have to overlap some of these, but as long as pat them down and make them too compacted. There we go. And now we have separated all of our layers. Now, what we're going to do is move this out of the way. This is going to be the pot that we were going to use to cook the chicken in, but it got too small, so we're going to have to use that twice. Now, what you want to do now is take all of your stacks aside, because I need this plate to work. So let's actually place all of our layers to the side and then work on them one at a time. Show you how it's done. Get a nice pile of your layers. And there we go. Now, I'm going to take just a spoonful of flour, and it helps your biscuits not stick. The biscuits not stick. Oh, the biscuits not stick. Just a spoonful of flour. Yeah, okay, maybe 2 of them. So cover the plate with your flour. And you can actually flatten these as you coat them in flour. So that way, kill 2 birds with 1 stone. And then just separate them into halves. You can now stack them very easily. They won't stick to each other now that it's got that flour all over them. Just flatten it as you coat it with flour. Shake off the excess and tear it right down the middle. Repeat the process for however many layers you have. And usually for this recipe we'll only be needing 1 can. And this will feed 2, maybe 3 of your family members or friends very well. If you're alone, then that's even better because you don't have to share it with anybody. Now, you can also add vegetables to this. I know a lot of people are saying, hey, SonicBlu, can you add vegetables? Why, yes you can. You can add diced carrots, peas, diced celery, onion. You can add lima beans if you want to. You can add anything that you have in mixed vegetables you can add to this recipe, even broccoli and cauliflower if you want to. But we are mainly looking for a basic way to make this recipe. Whatever you do with it is all up to you. But I will show you the way. I will show you the way how to make the basic recipe of chicken and dumplings. If you've ever tried chicken and dumplings in the store in the can, I feel sorry for you. Nothing says homemade better than making it yourself. And there is a nice cheap alternative into making it yourself. And this is one of those ways. Now you might actually have your own methods of doing this. You could actually make the biscuit dough. But I prefer to just get it as it's already made here. I mean, it's cheap enough. You don't have a huge mess in your kitchen. It's time effective, cost effective, everything you've ever wanted in a meal, but we're too afraid to ask. Especially one that doesn't involve too much in price. Now, down to the last one, and we have just used the right amount of flour. 2 spoonfuls of flour is pretty much all you really need. And don't worry about getting excess flour in your chicken base, because that'll all mix in there and it'll all taste wonderful when it's done. Trust me, because I've made this several times. This is a dish fit for a king. Now, shake off the extra flour, rinse this out. We like to keep clean in the kitchen, especially when dealing with food and such small counter space. Okay, now we're going to grab a sponge. We're just going to sop up the rest of this excess flour. Might as well do something entertaining while waiting for that chicken to boil.
Well, here's something entertaining. You're actually wearing your Trans-Siberian Orchestra shirt.
Yes, I am. That was an awesome concert, by the way. So put in enough water to cover the chicken, let it boil until your chicken is completely boiled and completely softened, completely white through and through. The reason for this is so that we can debone it and deskin it, because you definitely don't want skins in this recipe. Our chicken here, and as you can see, it has been boiled up nicely. The way you can test your chicken before you even cut into it is to make a little incision with your knife right about there. And if it comes up clear, of course the juices come up clear, then you know you got a good cooked chicken. Also, you can tell that the cartilage is boiling away from the bone on the legs. So that is pretty much done, and look at all the chicken broth that you have here. We can actually take some of this chicken broth and extract about 2 cups worth and add to the chicken broth we're going to be adding to this meal. So make 2 cups worth. We'll save away 2 cups worth of that broth. Now we're going to dump the rest of that into the sink, and if you want to save the rest of it, you can. Start immediately filling your pot with cold water, and that will cool your chicken down so you can handle it later. Yes, this is going to be a very crucial point in your deboning of the chicken, because you want to make sure that it's cool enough to the touch and you're not burning your fingers whenever you're ready to start. So we're going to let this sit for about a good 5, maybe 10 minutes, depending on the size of the chicken, depending on how long you cooked it. But if you've done it right, you probably cooked your chicken and boiled it for about 30 to 45 minutes on high temperature. And that's a good way to get your chicken really cooking, because let's face it, you want to eat sometime, I want to eat sometime, and this chicken is good as cooked. So we're going to give it some cold water and let it just sit in there for a while. You try to pull one of your chicken parts off, and you know it's cooked when it comes off that easily. There's your chicken quarter. So let that just soak right there into the cold water there. Now you definitely want to remove the skins too. That's very vital, because you don't want skins. I mean, I love chicken skins, but that does not belong, this does not belong in your chicken dumplings. It's just the meat and the dumplings. But once you get everything cooled down, then we'll be ready to proceed to the next step, and that would be the deboning. So to ensure that your chicken is ready, just, try to, while it's in the cold water of course, try to pull the legs off there like that. They should come right off, and same thing with the wings. They'll just come right off there without any struggling whatsoever. And that's the beauty part about boiling your chicken. You see, that comes right up. Look at that bone, it just came clean off. And that way you know your chicken is done. So, that part you really don't need. That's part of the wing there. This part you do need. So we're just going to peel off that skin, and look how easy that comes off. Just like that. Now set the skins aside and go right after the meat of the matter, and what we're going to do is we will go ahead and just extract all of that meat, drop it right into that cold water there, and just let it cool. And if it's still too hot to the touch, remember, stick it in that cold water. It'll cool it down. The whole purpose of this is to get finished as quickly as possible, so you don't make your guests or yourself wait too long. There's another piece of that skin. Get that skin out of there. We don't want no bloody skins. And the tail comes right off there. You don't even need the tail. Everything about the chicken. The skins come right off. There you go. In little portions, of course. You can save the skins on the side, but who would really want to eat the skins in this form?
It's only good when it's like crispy.
Crispy or baked. It's right now it's in its soggiest form, and it wouldn't really taste good. No. Now you can take the skins and save them to the side, and then bake them later if you really wanted to. That way nothing is wasted of the chicken. Look at that, that comes right off of there. Look at that. So now you're left with a nice looking naked bird.
Should we put a sensor bar on here?
Take the top part of the breast and just peel this off, and I'm going to show you as best as I can here. Just like that. That's the top part of the breast. And that's hot. So dump that right back into the cold water there. Do the same with this side. Ooh, come on. Ooh, that is hot. Okay, right into there. Now once you get these pieces really cooled off and really pulled off of the chicken here, then you can work with it a little better. Soak that back into the cold water, let it cool down again as you continue to debone your chicken. Now we're after the white meat right now. And the white meat is really good in this recipe, so is the dark meat. That's what the wings and the drumsticks and the thighs give you. That's the dark meat. This is the light meat, which comes from the breast. So you keep the breast of things in your chicken by picking out the white meat.
I love the white meat.
Yeah, some people like white meat, some people like dark meat, some people like both. And if you're a fan of both, then get yourself a whole chicken. And we're just going to debone that whole entire thing until there's nothing left but the bone and the cartilage. Because you don't want cartilage in your chicken recipe. Now there's the thigh part, so let's go ahead and go after the thigh. And that beautiful dark meat just pulls right off of there. Now here's a wishbone coming up here. And you can actually save that aside and dry it. Then once it's fully dried, you can actually share this with your friends and make a wish. Here's the wishbone. That's a little wishbone, isn't it? Well, let's just set that aside.
That's a small wishbone.
That is. A very small wishbone. Now for your bigger pieces, oh, hey, hello, there's the quarters. Remember these guys? Okay, so now start deboning this meat. I'll just plop it right down there. And also get rid of that little piece of cartilage there. I hate those things. They come on drumsticks. That's like the hamstring. It's like the hamstring cartilage they have. Okay, that most bottom part of that drumstick is cartilage. So work your way up, and always remember that there's that thin bone in every leg, like this, and that is easily mistaken for solid meat. Make sure that that small bone there is not making it into your pot. This would be the rest of your dark meat. This is your leg and your thigh. Get that piece there. That's a nice big hearty piece. There's a good one. So we're going to take that the 2 cups of chicken broth that we've just extracted. We're going to take that carton of chicken broth over there, which is about 32 ounces. That's about 2 cups worth. And what we're going to do is we're going to take 2 cans of cream of chicken soup, and we're going to mix that together, and we're going to create what is called olio. And olio is a chicken sauce that is mostly found in stuff like your chicken pot pies. That's what gives it its creaminess. And let me tell you, I love chicken olio, especially when it's homemade. And I'll show you how to make that in a moment. Those of you that remember our other chicken videos that you can use make your own olio will remember the way we've done it in the past when we made our own olio, but we're going to be doing the same thing here too. Anyway, that should do it for chicken, so dump all the rest of that out of there. And we're going to carry this back over here. And now, let's prepare our olio before we add our chicken. We're going to do this one step at a time, so follow along with me in making and preparing chicken and dumplings, the cheap and easy method, brought to you by Cooking with SonicBlu. First, we're going to take our homemade chicken broth, which has still little bits of chicken in there, and that's good. That is 2 cups. And let's also add this, which is another 36 ounces of chicken broth. Oh, this is going to be real good stuff. So once you have completely emptied your chicken broth, and you've added our homemade chicken broth, about 2 cups worth, to our existing broth here, what you now have is about, I'd say about 6 cups worth of chicken broth. Now, throw this away so you no longer need it. Come over here, and we are going to open. I love these easy to open cans. You don't need a can opener or anything. Yep. And we're just going to pour that right into there, and we're going to seek the help of just a regular spoon. Just drop that right down in there. Ooh, now we're talking extra chicken flavor. But we're not done yet. So 6 cups of chicken broth. You can either use homemade or you can buy it already made in the stores. Either or. Just remember, when you boil your chicken, you're going to be making your own broth. So might as well go cheap and boil your chicken, extract your broth, 6 cups worth, and then add 2 cans. Why didn't I extract 6 cups before from the broth? Because I already had the chicken broth and didn't think of that idea until just now. So, 2 cans going in. This is going to make our olio. After we're done with our cream of chicken, we're going to reach for a whisk. Nothing breaks this stuff up better than a whisk. Okay, now, are we ready to reach for our magical item we call a whisk? Let's first turn on the heat. We want to turn this up to a medium level, so we're going to set it at 6. And immediately start whisking at your broth and soup mix until you have created a nice, smooth oleo. Okay, now check this out. We have now whisked our mixture. Our broth is now an oleo, but it's a very thin oleo. But wait till it starts cooking. It's going to thicken back up until it's a nice thick oleo. And the flour is going to help thicken it up too. So, if you got a thin concoction, I guess you'd say, because it is a mixture. If you've got a thin mixture of chicken broth and your chicken soup, don't worry about it because the flour will help thicken all this up and it's going to taste good. First, we're going to start with adding our, once this starts going, first we got to turn this up to 6. And then after it gets boiling a little bit, we're looking for a slow rolling boil. We're looking for something that doesn't cook the heck out of your mixture, because this is a slow cooking process. Once we get a slow rolling boil in there, we're going to slowly turn that down to about a gas mark 2. We're going to turn this to a 2. And then once the boil starts going away, we're going to add our dumpling or our biscuits. And we're going to add it one by one. Now here's what we're going to do. We're not going to stir anymore after this. This is all the stirring we're ever going to do. We are going to push them gently into the broth until it's all soaked and it's all ready to go. Now, once the biscuits start hardening, and this will take a while because you'll have to push it occasionally with a spoon, not stir it. And once it gets to where the oleo coats your biscuit, it's not going to be too runny, it's not going to be too doughy, it's going to coat it beautifully, it's going to be really good cooked. That's when we add our chicken, and we're going to push the chicken down into our pot here, just like we did with the biscuits. So it's a very delicate process. From here on in, we don't stir. We're just waiting for that slow rolling boil to happen, and then we'll be adding our ingredients. And like I said, if you got vegetables, be very careful in adding them because you're going to add them the same way you do your chicken. If you have carrots or celery or peas or lima beans, anything you want, you push them gently in. Don't stir. Don't ever stir this. After you make your oleo, that's it. Now, you see it's starting to agitate a little bit more and more, and the bubbles are starting to come up a little faster there. Now, when you see the center of your liquid being pushed to the side from the bubbling, that's a slow rolling boil, or at least a rolling boil. It doesn't really have to be a slow rolling boil, just a rolling boil. And it's starting to get there now. We've reached boiling temperatures. And now it's just a matter of the bubbles being pushed to the edge of your stock pot, and that's when we're going to stir and add our dumplings and change our temperature down to 2. Now, as you can see, some of this foam will prevent all the bubbles from being pushed to the side of the pot. So we're going to give this a little stir and actually work this back into our mixture a bit. And we will see that when it stops moving there, when it stops swirling around, we are now at a rolling boil. You see how it rolls from the center out to the edge there? That's a rolling boil. Let's get it down to 2. And one by one, we are going to add dumplings. And this will help thicken up your oleo. Just drop it in one at a time. This isn't a race. Now, very carefully, with your whisk, push all of your biscuits down to where they are lightly coated with your oleo. And if they're slow cooked, it'll be done through and through. It won't be overcooked, it won't be undercooked, it'll be just right. And we're going to let this cook for about a half hour to 45 minutes, about the same length that you cooked your chicken. But taking 5 minutes after every interval of 5 minutes to push down your dumplings to make sure that they're still getting cooked. And we'll come back later and add our chicken. Ooh, you want to see what a totally cooked dumpling looks like? Check this out. Take a little knife and just kind of poke very carefully around there. See how it comes up there with it doesn't look too doughy and it looks nice and coated, just the way we want it. It's exactly the way we want it. Look, every single dumpling has been coated in this beautiful oleo. See how glossy they are? That's when you know that you're ready for the next step in adding the chicken. Oh yeah. See, when you can push them along and they don't come up all doughy, then you know you're ready for the next step. Let's grab our chicken. And we're going to grab our chicken and we're going to follow suit just like we did with our dumplings. And we're going to just take our chicken and get a good portion over the top there before we push it down there too. There's a big piece. Let's break that down a little bit. And you can use different parts of the chicken if you feel that a whole chicken is not for you. You can always pick up some drumsticks and boil them and then debone them. You can pick up chicken breasts, but although chicken breasts, keep in mind, are quite expensive in the stores. And some packages will range anywhere between $5 to $10 for some. So I would really recommend getting a full chicken. That way you get all the pieces that you need. Your breast, your thighs, your drumsticks, your wings, your light meats, your dark meats, and it doesn't cost nearly as much as a package of chicken breasts would. You don't have to keep pushing it down now because the weight of the chicken will help keep all them dumplings down there. Oh, that is going to look beautiful. So, give it about 10 minutes for this stuff to really cook up. And until your chicken is done, your dumplings are already done, but a little bit more cooking won't hurt it. We just want to get it to the point where we can add our chicken without having them be too doughy. So in about 10 more minutes, we're going to serve this up. We're going to show you exactly what it'll look like in the finished product. And we're going to show you just how easy it is for you to prepare this meal, because you don't have to run out and get all these extra ingredients that you might not even like. Perhaps you don't even like peas. Maybe you don't like corn or broccoli, cauliflower, all that other stuff. You just want the basics. Well, that's what I'm here to tell you. But if you like all those vegetables, by all means, add it in. But, you know, the more you add, the more flavorful it'll be. But, yeah, you definitely want to be gentle while you do it. So if you have vegetables, push them down gently and make sure that you do not disrupt the structure of your dumplings. That's an important thing, because then you'll have dough all over the place and it will not taste good. And so if you do it the right way, wait till the dumplings are fully cooked before you add any other ingredients, is the proper way to make flawless chicken dumplings. It's very simple to do, very easy recipe. It won't cost you too much money, and you'll be making a lot of food if you're all by yourself. Or even if you have a family of 3 or 4, this will feed 3 or 4 very easily. Just follow the simple recipe. 6 cups of broth. It could be homemade broth or it could be the broth that you pick up at the store. About 6 cups worth. And for every 3 cups, you need 1 can of creamy chicken soup. And then you mix that together with a whisk. Then add your dumplings. Remember to flatten your dumplings, or to flatten your biscuits. Or separate them first, flatten them, coat them with flour. Then tear them in half, set them aside. You wait for your oleo to boil up, and then once it reaches a rolling boil, turn down the temperature, add your dumplings, let them cook for about a half hour to 45 minutes, and taking 5-minute intervals, keep pushing down your dumplings because you want them perfectly coated through and through. Then when your dumplings are finished, grab your chicken and add it. Grab your vegetables, add your vegetables. If you have vegetables, if you like vegetables, if you don't like vegetables, the way that we're making it here now, it's pretty good. And then it's just a matter of letting the rest of the way cook the rest of the way for about 10 minutes. And we can actually see a little bit of progress here. As you notice, your chicken will also be coated in the oleo as well. So when this is done, we are looking at a beautiful chicken dish. And look at that thickness of that oleo. Remember when it was just a slim liquid? Now look, it's thick enough to where it will coat the knife. And that's what we're looking for too. If you want to take the oleo thickness test, just dip your knife in and then pull it out. If it coats, then you know you got a nice thick oleo. And that's the way we want it too. Oh, it smells like chicken to me. Take a look. Now, when you get about 10 minutes in, now you can lightly fold your mixture of dumpling and chicken and oleo. And just give it a light fold, very delicately though. Remember, we're not stirring, we're folding. Look at that, it's beautiful. I mean, you can fold it, it doesn't fall apart. Look at that. Beautifully coated. And I'd say that this is pretty much a wrap. So, turn off the heat, and we're ready to serve. Get a bowl, and carefully spoon out your finished chicken and dumpling. Look at that. It serves up beautifully. Nice, big, generous portions there. And the oleo has thickened up thanks to the flour and the biscuit. And there you go. Beautiful, perfect, cheap and easy chicken dumpling. Does that look delicious?
Oh, yes, it does.
Alright, now try giving it a nice taste.
Oh, definitely.
Now, is it the same chicken and dumpling as we had before?
Oh, it definitely is.
Oh, then that means it's going to be super, super delicious. It melts in your mouth, not in your hands. You know you can add a lot more ingredients to this if you want to. You can even add potato if you want to, which would be really good too. But you know what you like, and try to experiment with like vegetables or potatoes, but definitely use this formula as your base for making chicken and dumplings the cheap and easy way, very cost effective, it won't run you into the ground, and all you really need is to have your wish come true. And from all of us here at Cooking with SonicBlu, to the rest of you out there, make a wish. Nobody wins! Look at that, do you see that?
The middle piece fell off.
Whose piece was this? Whose piece? Let's see. Wait, no, that one was mine. That one came from yours, so I would have to say that Wolf Dog gets his wish, even though the part that matters fell on the floor. So hopefully your wish comes true. I'm SonicBlu Darkfold, and on camera is Wolf Dog. We'll see you next time on Cooking with SonicBlu. While we are waiting for this to boil, and I can put my hand on the side of there and just feel how far along we're coming. Oh, hot! Okay. Don't do that at home, kids. I was only kidding, of course. But come on this way.
You're just
enough to put my hand on fire. Come on.
Yeah. You do it all the time.
I used to do it all the time. Remember when I filled up my Zippos and I would light my hand on fire to burn away the fluid? That didn't hurt or nothing because I know how to handle fire.
Yeah.
Now take a look at the cricket keeper here. Look at all those crickets. Those are all Bowser's food. And coming up here too, I'll be showing you a video of when Bowser discovered his dinner was kept in this kitty.
Oh, gee, that was
keeper.
funny on how that worked.
It was, yeah. Well, you'll see the video. You'll see. I don't have to describe it because
And
you're going to see it later.
just so you guys are wondering here, we have like a really interesting setup over here with a big huge screen over here.
Yeah, that's our screen and the projector, of course, on the TV tray, and the video game system in the corner.
Yeah, which is out of order.
Clock, behind, and go ahead and show the grandfather clock while we're at it. There's Bowser, my baby. Bowser is probably the happiest bearded dragon I have ever seen in my life. There's the grandfather clock. And, as you see, it's fully functional. And over here are my beautiful dragons. And I actually have names for all my dragons. That one's Pewter, that one's Magi, that one's Ice, this one's Fire, of course, Fire Dragon, of course, no, Magma, I'm sorry. This one's Magma, that's Clover, that's Crimson. So, there you go, I have names for them all.
Yeah, I kind of did like a Wreck-It Ralph thing on the sign on the, I basically said, out of order, do not use.
Yeah, and we went Wreck-It Ralph. So now there are at least, I'd say, a good number of video game characters that are out of home until we can plug them back up again.
Yeah, because we had to get the board replaced.
Yeah. But everything's coming along nicely, and Bowser is loving his new home. Yeah, I'm talking about you now, baby. Let's show Bowser. Over here, he is very happy, very energetic too. He's very fast. When you take him out, he's like super fast. He'll run all over the place. Okay, now, any moment this stuff is going to start boiling.
And an hour later, it's still not boiling.
An hour later, okay, any moment now, it's going to start boiling. 50 years later, okay, now I think I see a bubble coming up there. We've already done that skit. Make a wish.